Hello, today Dave, Lida, Michèle, Yannick and myself, Michèle, would like to talk to you about the importance of methane emission reduction. But let's start with some background before we jump in. Over the years, we heard how carbon dioxide emission had a key role in climate change. Frequently, we refer to all the other greenhouse gases as an equivalent of CO2. However, they are not all the same. For instance, the impact of methane is 86 times greater than CO2 over a period of 20 years. Since the pre-industrial time, the concentration of methane in the atmosphere has more than doubled. It is responsible for 30% of the global temperature increase, making it second to CO2 in driving climate change. This figure speaks for itself. 45% reduction of methane emission by 2040 translates into avoiding 0.3 degrees Celsius warming. In terms of regulation, since 2017, we must report methane emission to the federal government. Since 2018, Alberta emitters can report directly to the provincial government as directed by the Alberta Energy Regulator. Keeping in mind we want to reduce methane emission in the reporting requirements, we want a model to quantify methane emission from aerial surveillance data, predict emission source rate, and we will present technologies and findings and measurement and mitigation strategies. For the purpose of this presentation, due to a low quantity of data in Alberta, we will use available open source data from different locations in the United States. From those, we can see the frequency of methane emission surveys has increased over the years. They were acquired using two different sensors, ANG at first and GAO. The left chart shows the different emission sources classified by type, and on the right is the location of these sources with a circle proportionally sized to its emission rate. We will focus on the oil and gas emission located in the Permian Basin across Texas and New Mexico. For the Permian Basin data, the number of observations per source is an asymmetric distribution. 15% of the source only have one observation. Slightly more than 50% of the total emission rate comes from tanks and wells, and sources from processing unit have less sample, but a large emission rate per observation. There are significantly more emission from sources with inactive flare, mainly methane escaping from tanks, pipelines, and well. In the case of active flare, a large amount of methane is converted to carbon dioxide and water, but this is not the case for inactive flare. We've worked on image with the plumb and background merged as a single image. For each plumb, an estimated emission rate and error margin have been calculated and provided as ground truth. Note that most plumb have a measurement rate between 0 and 2,000 kg per hour, with a few outliers above 15,000. The noise of these measurements is significant, with 20% of the data with relative uncertainty greater than 50%. We propose to train a simple neural network to predict an emission rate given a single image as an input. The dataset has been pre-processed by filtering measurement with a relative uncertainty greater than 50%. Data augmentation methods were implemented to enrich the dataset. Synthetic data generation, image rotation, and background swapping do not interfere with the spatial resolution of the source data. Some background removal attempts were made, but with mixed results. Following this, our key recommendation is to focus on monitoring. To detect and characterize methane emission in the field, multiple technologies are already available on the market. Each of them have their pros and cons in terms of cost, spatial scale, and temporal scale. Prior to selecting the detection tool, here are some elements to consider. The consistency of the spatial resolution is important to look at, as the size of the plumb on the image will directly impact the model result. Uncertainty of the emission rate can be improved over time through repeated measurement. In terms of permanent and periodic monitoring, we leave the option to the client as it depends on budget, local regulation, operation, and size of the field to monitor. If the client prefers a permanent monitoring solution, additionally to the detection system previously presented, we are proposing detection via a captive balloon equipped with appropriate sensors. The solution allows for a cost-effective, continuous monitoring over a region for days or weeks. It is easily deployable and widely used in other sectors already. The system could be purchased by the emitter, part of a subscription, or requested as a drive-by monitoring service. If the client prefers a periodic monitoring solution, we are not recommending a specific type of detection. However, we recommend to have a minimum of 3 overflight in order to achieve a minimum of 50% source persistence and confidence in persistence. This proposed approach with either permanent or periodic monitoring can 1. Facilitate the measurement of methane on a large scale in the oil and gas industry, 2. Improve accuracy of the acquisition method through data analysis, 3. Generate a surrogate model to estimate methane emission rates. And we must continue reporting. We understand this implies the emitter must invest in their monitoring system, improve their facility to reduce the emission rate at the source, and have the reporting integrated to their operation, but the financial impact on the society is much greater. The social cost of methane is significant for every one of us, not only the emitter. For those who wonder, our logo is a captive balloon. All the dots represent the data provided, classified by color for the source type and sized by the emission rate. On behalf of our team, Dave, Lida, Michèle, Yannick, and myself, Michèle, we thank you for your time, and please feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions.